Hello and thank you for joining us from wherever you are. We are coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle on digital address GA09925339. Our top stories this hour. Still breaking down the NDC manifesto, we focus on Zongo development today and how the NDC is extending its big push agenda there, more as they go heavy on educational infrastructure and scholarships for Zongo communities. We're live in one of such to hear what the people actually think. 28 police officers sacked for unprofessional conduct, including drunkenness on duty and negligence, leading to escape of prisoners from lawful custody. We have details of this, including the ranks of those dismissed. Today, we take you to the western region town of Apelsika, where children who would ordinarily be in school resort to roaming along the coast as schools remain closed due to coronavirus. Join us on DSTV 421, Go TV 144. Remember, we're on YouTube, we're streaming live, also on myjoyonline.com and on our social media platforms. Your thoughts can come to 0540-109-009. My name is Gifty Andopia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest. Welcome. I'll take you through the details of those stories. Now, the Northeast Regional Minister has been visiting flooded communities to assess the situation caused by the Bagre Dam spillage and continuous downpour. 10 people have died so far. Farms and homes have been lost to the floods. Roads have also been cut off, making it difficult to reach affected persons. This morning, the Northeast Regional Minister, with the help of a chopper, arrived in parts of the region to get first-hand information on the extent of damage. We'll speak to our correspondent, Ilyasu Tanko, who will give us the latest on this. He joins me live on the phone. Ilyasu, what is the latest at the moment?
Well, Gifty, we are currently in the Kukwa community where we have seen devastations more than what is being reported. As we speak, this community, their source of water has been damaged, and about seven houses only in this particular community has also been destroyed. We've seen a large number of farmlands also currently submerged, and the regional minister with the NADMO officials have come and distributed some relief items to the victims. The victims, even though relief items, they are not enough, but of course, they appreciate what the officials have donated to them. And so we are still here. We're doing the distribution. The regional minister have also been visiting some of the cut-off road. For instance, we have just visited the Passingpe road, which has been cut off, which is linking the West Mamprose municipality to the Mamprogo-Muaduri district. That road has been cut off. The minister has visited that particular road and is assuring the residents that that road will be constructed.
I'm seeing right now, we're showing on the video, on the television screen, something that looks like the landscape of a heavily flooded large area. And I believe these are visuals that's coming from the chopper in which the minister traveled. What can you tell us about what we're seeing right now in this picture?
Exactly, and that is the part of the White Volta River around the Passingpe area. You can see large number of farm acres damaged in that part, and all the houses, in fact about 14 communities around that area are also currently inaccessible. The people there, when we're here, the minister were able to make contact to the people in there, and they say they are very safe. But as we speak, they will not be able to move out of the community. And as we speak, we get the indication that more rains are still coming. And so you can imagine that the devastation is going to continue as we receive more rains in the region.
Has the minister been speaking, apart from assuring the people of constructing this particular road that you talked about, what else has he been saying?
Well, he's promising of getting them purifiers at the moment to ensure that they get safe drinking water, and then also promising them that they will be getting some cement to rebuild their destroyed buildings, and it's also assuring them that they will be getting some zinc to fix their rip-off houses. And so it has been assurance. The minister has been assuring. In fact, we also visited the house of or the family of the two deceased that lost their lives in the Kasingpe community, in the Kunkwa community here. And we spoke to the widow, and she narrated how the incident happened. And we also spoke to some community members, especially the youth. We know that all of them, most of them are farmers here. Now, what they are telling us is that now all their livelihoods have been lost. And so what they will now do is to travel down south because they do not have anything again to rely on.
Ilyasu, thank you. We'll come to you when there's any further development on this rather disturbing story. Ilyasu Tanko, the Northeast Regional Correspondent, bringing us those visuals as you saw the total devastation there. Let's head to the Upper East region where we understand that heavy downpour this morning further worsened the situation. Some stranded passengers and other victims have been sharing their experiences.
My name is Atanga Vida. That was on Saturday around 4:30 to 5. We are sleeping in the night, midnight, when my mother just came out to urinate and she saw the water. So when she shouted, water, water, before we came out, water already entered our house. So to carry our things, our dresses, our mattresses, even our food self, the water took all away. We don't even have something to eat. We don't have a place to stay. We don't have food to eat, our clothes, our mattresses. So we are appealing the government to come to our aid and help us so that we get a place to stay. This woman like this, that day she was sleeping. Before she wake up, water already entered the compound. So all the buildings have collapsed. So we took her to this place so that we can manage, so that you people will help us, support us with anything.
So where were you before the water came and flooded your place?
We are sleeping.
Which community?
Anatim.
Okay. Is it far from here?
No, this community is Anatim.
Is your house far from this place?
No. It's this woman here, our house here. It's not far.
So tell us, this facility that you are building, who owns this place?
The Nadmore people arrange with it's a filling station, and the Nadmore people arrange with the person so that we can come and stay.
So how do you cope up with the mosquitoes?
Oh, it's not easy. It's not easy. Mosquitoes. In the night, we can't even sleep.
So right now, what do you think you actually need right now to make you feel comfortable? You want to look for a place for you to stay?
If you get a place, you should help us so that we do our houses and go and stay.
So how many of you have been affected with the flooding, and how many of you are staying here?
We are 3 houses. The other one is staying at the school there, and we the 2 we are staying here.
My name is Salma. Salma Haruna from Bolga to Kubori. We can cross to Boku. So we are surrounded, we are there. So we are pleading for the government to come and do something from Kubori to Boku. Please, if you can see my back, the cars cannot pass. People are there. Cars are there. Please, we need government to come and do something for us. And we are pleading. Nobody can even cross. As of now, the cars from Boku to Kubori are there. From Bolga to Kubori, we are choked and we are here. So we are pleading. If they can do something for us, they should come and help us.
So those are some affected or stranded residents there. 4 lives have already been lost in the Upper East region. Acres of farmlands have been destroyed and the Boko areas have been cut off from Bolgatanga because the road is flooded, as you're well aware of. Our correspondent, Albert Sori, has been following the development. He's joining me on Zoom. Albert, tell us what you found on your rounds today.
Yes, Gifty. So we are learning that a portion of the road to Boko has given way. A while ago, a resident there shared with me a video which actually showed that some of the culverts had been broken because of the rushing water. So that portion of the road, not the Kubori Bridge, but close to it, has given way, and the water is now just moving across the road. We are also learning that authorities of the Tono Dam in Navrongo have been forced to spill water in that dam because even though the spillways were under construction, the dam is pressed. So in order to save it, they have been forced to use the spillway the way it is, to spill some of the water just to reduce the pressure on the dam. Now, today it has been raining since morning. It rained for about 1 hour consistently and stopped for a while, and then it keeps drizzling, it stops for a while, and so it's virtually like it's raining the whole day. So that is the situation. It's getting even worse as the day goes by. In the Pualugu areas, the farms are getting even more submerged. The water is now getting closer to the road. And so that is the situation.
Speaking about farms, Albert, help me understand a little bit. Is this any time near the harvest season?
Exactly. For most farmers, they were getting close to harvesting their maize. One of the farmers we spoke to at the Kubori area, close to Binduri, told us that he was thinking he would harvest his maize in the next 2 weeks or so because it was getting closer to the harvest season, and so he's lost his maize. It's the same thing for farmers in Pualugu who had been thinking that the floods would come much later. So they were thinking they will harvest their maize before these rains come. Usually it happens in September, sometimes in August. And so they were hoping they would harvest before the floods. Unfortunately, some of them haven't been so lucky. There are a few who have managed to harvest something, about in the month of August. Some of them harvested their maize. Others were able to harvest some.
So this is not just about the lives that are being lost and the properties that are being destroyed, but it is time for harvest and farms are just simply submerged. Albert, do we know if the Bagre Dam spillage is still ongoing? Looks like I've lost Albert. Let me go to the Regional Minister, Tangoba Abayage. Madam, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. I was just asking Albert whether or not the Bagre Dam spillage is still ongoing.
As of yesterday, the information I have from the NADMO office is that it's still ongoing. And it's not only the Bagre Dam. There's a second dam that has also been spilled. I don't easily recollect the name, but we have a second dam in Burkina Faso, the eastern part of Burkina Faso, that has also been spilled. It's a small dam, but it's also been spilled. I think that is the reason why we are having such huge volumes of water coming to the region. Of course, it's not as if it's a new thing. It happens every year anyway.
It happens every year anyway, which is why a lot of people, and especially those who have been affected now, are expecting that by now we would have found a way with it. I'll come to that. This is a major situation that you have on your hand there in the region. What is your own assessment of it so far?
We have serious damages to, especially roads. No, and as I was listening to Albert, we are not only having the spillage of the Bagre Dam and then the other dam that I'm talking about. We're also having incessant rain. Usually, we have rains in the month of August, from the 22nd thereabouts we are inundated with rains all the way to maybe around the 28th, then it will start subsiding. However, in this particular year, we have had the rains for about 3 weeks now running. Almost every day it rains. So the quantum of water that we have received within this period has been really huge. We have lots of roads washed away, bridges and culverts washed away in a lot of rural communities in the region. And this morning I had a discussion with the Federal Roads Director. I've had a discussion with all the 3 directors of our road departments. And we have a lot of issues on our hands. Per my assessment, we really would need government to come in quickly. I mean, especially the road the sector to come in quickly immediately. The rains stop, because some of the places, villages are virtually cut off.
Okay.
Other places, yes.
So that's your assessment. Please go ahead.
Aside that is the people's houses. You know, we have our houses. Most communities have mud houses. So aside that, people's houses that are also collapsing and all that. Fortunately for us, we haven't had. Yes, we have had a few casualties, but not as alarming as we had last year. So, and then a few people have been displaced. About 50 people at Anati near Sombrongo, and then this morning I was also informed that about 10 people around the Doba area have been displaced. So this is the situation we have.
I'll bring you back to the statement you made a short while ago. You said it happens every year anyway, which is why a lot of people expect us to be able to have dealt with it or to have prepared for it a little better than we did right now. Let's talk about the sword cutting that happened last November for the construction of a multi-purpose dam, which was supposed to help address this flooding.
Yes, the sword cutting took place. The contractors are on site. We cut the sword. The project was supposed to start in April. Well, then it's a Chinese funded program. The contractors are Chinese. They were supposed to bring their equipment, machines, and other stuff from China. Then we got up one day to experience this coronavirus thing that brought the whole world to its feet, and everything came to a standstill. This affected the commencement date of the project. In any case, if the project had started, there's no way we would have built such a mighty dam in less than a year. This is a dam. I mean, this is a multi-purpose $1 billion dam. The construction of the dam itself is supposed to be completed in the 2.5 years to 3 years. So even if they had started in April, there's no way we would have finished that dam. Aside that is the fact that the construction had to be delayed because of this coronavirus thing. So I think 3 months ago, we had the contractors come to site. They've constructed a road from Wulugu access road. Mind you, the dam is being built in, a place that originally was vacant. Nobody has sighted before. In the forest somewhere, about 15 kilometers away from the Folugu Bridge itself. They had to construct an access road before they can bring all the machines to this construction site, clear the site. And as I speak with you, that all that has been done, the access road has been created, they were moving in equipment, clearing the site, to start work. Then we have the rain. If you are, I'm not a construction person. I have very little knowledge. But from what I know, you can't be constructing while it's rain. And when I talk of rain, I'm talking of high volumes of rain. So definitely, the contractors will have to, suspend for now and wait till the rain to stop before they can go on. But this thing has been on the drawing table for ages, my dear sister. From the history I have, I think it was in the 60s, that Ghana put it on paper to construct this dam. 60. Government after government after government after government. It took His Excellency and now the dam for to state boldly and categorically that it It doesn't make sense for a single life to be lost because of perennial floods. So no matter how much it costs, he's going to ensure that this multi-purpose dam is built.
Which is why the project started, and I'm glad, and I appreciate how much information you're giving us concerning how the project has stalled and why. And again, and I'm glad you give us those details, because then it tells us that we knew the possibility of our inability to build that dam this year, but we also knew that the Bagre Dam will be spilled anyway. What was the plan B?
The Bagre Dam hasn't affected life. Yes, those who have lost their lives.
No, I just want us to deal with this particular issue about the spillage. No, if you let me land, I just want to deal with the issue of the spillage of the dam. We know that the floods, the rains have added to the woes, but about the Bagre Dam, we knew it would be spilled anyway, and we knew that we couldn't finish the project this quickly anyway. So what was the plan B?
But you don't have a plan B. You can't collect the water if you don't have a dam. So the water will have to run its natural course to the Kusumbu Dam. There is no plan B. You can't collect the water. What you do is to educate people to move onto a higher land. And that's where I was trying to come. There was a lot of education on radio, community education, community radio stations were used. And I'm trying to say that lives have not been lost because their houses have been collected away by the spillage of the Bagre Dam. It's because of the education we put in place. Those who unfortunately lost their lives, maybe the person was trying to cross the river. I'm told not. No,
I'd rather we don't conjecture. I mean, you understand why? So that these are these are people's lives. So we need to.
I thought you asked me what we have done.
Exactly. No, I'm saying I'm bringing this in. Hang on, ma'am. I'm bringing this in because you said that maybe the person may have been crossed, and I'm saying that let's not conjecture unless we have like the actual information over how they died.
The news I heard, and I heard it from JoyNews, was that 3 people, one male, 2 female, were on a motorking crossing the water, and they were carried away. Okay. That's what I heard. And I'm saying that in my region, the Upper East region, the few deaths we have recorded were as a result of falling walls.
Okay.
Not as a result of the spillage of the Bagre Dam.
I just needed you to state that categorically so that we don't conjecture.
Categorically, I'm not conjecturing.
Fair enough.
I'm giving you categorically that in the Upper East region, not one single soul has been lost as a result of the spillage of the Bagre Dam.
Okay.
The major Kubori Bridge, and this is the major bridge linking the regional capital, Bogatanga, and all others to the east of the region.
All right.
Has been overflowed. I mean, and it's because of the volumes of water that are coming. Unfortunately, you can't stop that. The only way we can stop it is when we have the dam. So as the water comes, they have somewhere to be collected. Unfortunately, that's at this day, because we don't have the dam. The water came in its volumes, and then we have this major bridge that unfortunately is under threat. Currently, there's nobody who can cross over to Boku. Nobody from Boku or beyond can cross over to Bolga and beyond. We are all cut off. In fact, tomorrow the Vice President was supposed to visit my region. He's visiting the region, and we're supposed to have programs. Unfortunately, as a result of that, we can't cross over. But tomorrow, when he arrives today, this evening, we'll discuss on how to change programs to fit in because of these unforeseen things that are happening right now. So there will definitely be a change of program. From the pictures I received from the regional highways director, we have a huge cave-in just at the tip of the bridge.
Okay.
It has been compromised. He tells me that once the rain, and unfortunately again, because it is raining, we can't do anything.
I understand.
We have to wait for the rain. So once the rain stops and the waters recede, he tells me unfortunately the contractors are on site working because of the Bolga-Boku road. They'll come in with boulders so that they'll fill the cave in, and then vehicles can
hopefully that will work for a while. My final question, ma'am, is we've seen that NADMO has extended help to some people. you spoke about the need for governmental intervention at this point, and you said that the Vice President is on the way. What is the plan to support these people, apart from NADMO, which usually doesn't have enough resources?
Yeah, well, of course, now that we are sending the SOS, the NADMO is coming in immediately with some relief items. Already, I think the region has been in preparedness towards that. We have some items already in stock by the NADMO regional directorate, but tomorrow the national directorate is coming in with some items. I'm sure they are already mobilizing to come. Once they come and then we assess the situation, we will definitely, you should know that usually what NADMO gives is not enough. That's why we ask NGOs and other donor agencies to come in to help. We are not quick to do that yet. Tomorrow when they come, they are the disaster management people. They'll be able to assess and then let us know that this is the way to go. So I'm looking forward to meeting them, and then we'll take it from there.
Very well. I'm very excited to see women succeed in their positions, especially political positions, and so I can very well understand. I wish you all the best in your management of this situation. Tangoba Abayage is the Upper East Regional Minister. They're explaining to us what actions or what measures government is putting in place to deal with this rather worrying situation. Away from that, I'm taking you to the Western region. There's a community there called Apelsika. Over there, children who would ordinarily be in school are spending their days roaming along the coast because, of course, the schools are closed. Correspondent Inathalia Kwansa has today's COVID-19 impact story.
There's a boy whose mother was sick, and the mother was in the house. The child was given a breakfast in the morning. The child decided going to the grandmother. So the mother thought that would be safe. The child went to grandmother. Unfortunately, he could not meet the grandmother. The grandmother had then traveled. The boy then followed friends to the seashore. And the new civil defense wall and the harbor that is being built in Axim, the children went as far as to that area. And one of them, that boy in particular, fell into the sea. Nobody saw him. The children, the rest of the children ran.
Seashores and schools have at least one goal in common. The shore keeps the sea at bay, and the school keeps children from loitering about. But with coronavirus pandemic resulting in schools closure, children have regained freedom to roam wild, playing catch me if you can with frustrated parents.
Everywhere they should take care of the children, because I'm saying this because children will be playing, they might be going somewhere, it's dangerous. For me, I believe if the school is open, it's even better.
I visited the coastal area of Apelsika and encountered several children of school-going age making daily decisions on how to spend their time. Spoiler alert, not many ventures were commendable.
The situation is very bad. You should have gone to school this year. There is a pandemic called coronavirus. It has taken over the world.
Now, what's it if you are there? Won't be
and you've been asked not to go into the public. So I'm here to play. I am now a carpenter at a fishing shore. I carry the woods and nail it. Since the closure of schools, I have decided to learn a trade so I can make some money. The students are not going to school. That's why I organize football competition for them.
Until school reopens, parents will live along the coastal communities will continue to live in fear of recording death as children continue to play along the seashore as they await reopening of the next academic year. Inathalia Kwansa, JoyNews, Apelsika.
And I'm wondering what you are doing. Maybe you're studying on a computer. They don't have that privilege. This is still The Pulse with me, Gifty and up here. I'm going to take a very quick break. When I return, we take a look at the Zongo communities. Well, what is the situation there? What is the NDC presenting as an alternative? Well, so they can vote for them. We'll be talking to them. We'll also have Alhaji Sorogo in the studio. We want to hear from you. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. Many thanks for staying with us. So we continue, like I said, to break down the 143-page manifesto document described by the NDC as a blueprint to rescue Ghanaians. This afternoon, we're focusing on the Zongo development agenda and what the party is promising residents there. We'll be live from one of the Zongo communities here in Accra, and we'll be engaging the residents. We're talking from infrastructure development to scholarships. That's what the NPP is promising them. And the NDC is promising them. Well, the party is also promising to establish plastic recycling factories to create jobs for the youth. They want to provide startup capital for business owners, among others. So it's a tall list of promises that the party is hoping to put in place when elected, or if elected into power. Do you find yourself in a Zongo community? What do you make of these promises? Government recently announced an aggressive agenda for development in the Zongos. Are you feeling any of this development? We want to hear from you. But that's not all. We'll be joined also, we'll be joined by the country director for Send Ghana, so we can broaden the conversation of how deprived communities like Zongos have been promised by political parties over the years, and there's still nothing or very little to show. In the studio with me now is former Member of Parliament for Madina, Alhaji Amadou Sorogo. He's also the spokesperson on Zongo and Muslim affairs on the NDC manifesto. We'll be starting with him, and like I said, we'll be crossing over to the Zongo community, and then we'll have Send Ghana join us. Alhaji, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you, my sister. How are you?
I'm blessed. So, were you there at the manifesto launch?
Oh, sure. It was launched in my constituency, so it was a great opportunity.
Any special reason why it was launched there?
Well, in terms of convenience, space, you know, and UPS, the newly, you know, it is out of one of the newly created universities. You know, it was a professional. I don't know. I'm told you were there.
I worked in UPSA for 2 years.
Yeah. You know, so not too much, but at least if you, in terms of convenience, the place, and Madina too is a quiet place where you don't get people.
Madina is not a very quiet place. Maybe UPSA is the area, the neighborhood is quiet. It's quiet.
Well, I don't know why you want to put a border between UPSA and Madina.
Well, Madina
because
is not
UPSA is part of Madina.
It's because you said Madina is quiet. But anyway, let's move on. Let's move on and take a look at the actual work that's on the ground. So you're promising, the NDC is promising a number of things. I'm told, by the way, that you have seen, after seeing the visuals from the northern region, from the Upper East region and Northeast region, you are from that area.
I'm from Boku, to be precise. Yeah. You know, seriously speaking, first and foremost, let me express my condolences to the lost ones. I overheard the regional minister, you know, in an argument with you, that as far as
she was just making her point.
Well, as far as she was concerned, there was no life lost, which could be attributed to the floods. Well, but I saw also, and I also heard it. I called my people back at home. They told me a lot of things that I don't think anyone would want those things to happen to him or her. I saw cattle, animals being carried away, you know, by the flood waters.
There have been a bit of misunderstanding over that video. There actually is a video where it's somewhere that looks like either a Spanish country with the news on it. So the idea was that it wasn't, the video was not original.
No problem, no problem. At least, I mean, just taking and listening to what people are saying, I think it is devastating. It is. Because I heard that in the Northeast, 10 people, as I was
in the Northeast, 6 people. In Upper East, 4 people,
making it 10. Making a total of 10. You know, even one life is not something that we have to joke with. My problem is that I don't know. So I was asking whether the normal alert, because there is an agreement between Ghana and Burkina Faso That any time at all there was the intention to spill over. I have been to Bagiri on a number of times. I know the dam. It's a very small dam. It wasn't constructed purposely for energy. It was for agricultural purposes. So when you go there, they want to flood. It's a low-lying ground, and so they flood a lot of area where they concentrate on rice and vegetable cultivation. But of course, they took the advantage, and then were able to get between 18 and 24, kilowatts, which is not something which is big. But of course, with the incessant rains, from time to time, it's not every year that the flooding occurs, but from time to time, there's this flooding. My problem is that there's an agreement between Ghana and Burkina Faso that any time at all they intend, spilling, they should alert our people 3-4 days. And I'm told that they did exactly that.
So there was an alert?
Yes, yes. And so if that happened, what were the preparations that were put in place? At least you can't stop the water, but you can evacuate the human beings. Okay? You can move important...
They encouraged them to move to higher ground.
I mean, my dear sister, if you say we encourage them, I think that is something that we shouldn't even entertain. Look at America, look at California, the fires that are ravaging. Compulsory, mandatory evacuation. You just go and tell the person, move. You bring a truck, you know that, look, what is happening. The person has stayed there for so many years. I'm not blaming the government. Maybe successive governments also, might have fallen victim. But I'm saying that we should graduate. We should get matured. At least, you don't have to say that we encourage them to move. Somebody who stays at a particular place for several years, he's used the tradition, everything, so he wouldn't. But you know that, look, this waters, the flood waters that is coming can kill you. So, mandatory, if you have to involve the security services to move them out, important property, things that can be protected, you move them. If, luckily, nothing happens, they go back. If anything happens, at least you would have saved property, lives, livestock, and what have you. And so that one, when you were saying it, I wasn't happy about it.
Okay.
What can we do? This should also tell us that we need to learn. We should find a way out. The Boku road is cut off. Now you can't come from Boku to Bolega. So it means that not only for Ghanaians, but goods are allowed. Even with the closure of the border, still cargo is allowed to enter. And we know there are a lot of cargo that comes from Burkina Faso. And then the port in Tema. Burkinabes use the port as their transit port. And so definitely cargo will go. You go and you are cut off by road because of this.
So that's certainly going to have some economic impact as well.
Definitely.
Not just
already people. And look at the COVID.
You're talking also about farmers who have had their farmland submerged. And it's almost harvest time as well. But this is a whole...
It's a whole topic that we have to
conversation.
Talk about it. That is not why we are here.
So we want to focus on the Zongos for today. What the NDC is promising the Zongo people. What really are the key critical concerns, issues that the Zongo people have had to deal with? And mind you, I've lived in the Zongo before, so I can relate to the things that people who live in Zongo go through. So let's start from what you can... And people have said that this election will be fought on what the NPP has done based on what it promised and what the NDC has done, pointing back to your track record, which is not very far away. It's very recent in our memories. Wrap it up for us in terms of what exactly your party did for the Zongo communities. If you were to put it together in a very brief sentence, what would that be?
Well, if you ask me, of course, I'll hit your warning because you gave me a warning that I should be careful because you stayed there.
Yes, I know Zongo very well.
Exactly. Knowing there doesn't mean staying there anyway.
I've lived there. That's what I said.
No problem.
Right.
So I'm not the type who will lie. Because, Medina has one of the biggest Zongos.
The people are watching you, so if you lie, they will see through you.
No. I don't even... Why should I?
So let's go for it. Okay. Go for it.
So first and foremost, we need to know that the Zongo community is part and parcel of Ghana. We are all together that make up what we call Ghana, okay? It is not by any person's intention to say, now you can't say they are lazy, that is why they find themselves in those predicament. But historically, if you watch where we were in terms of resources, in terms of development, in terms of the time that even colonization, where they started, where they moved, where slaves were being moved. So right from that time, the preparation towards making the Zongos poor maybe not intentionally institutionalized, started there. And then you also come to the vegetation, our lands, factories that were sited, school buildings that were put right from independence when the colonial, the British took over, through Nkrumah up to today. You realize that a lot of the development was centered around.
So you have the opportunity 4 years ago, at least, or more, 8 years, 12 years or so ago. In fact, the NDC has had more of this opportunity to deal with this problem. And the question was to summarize for us exactly what you think your party did. How well did you position Zongo communities in a place of dignity before you left office?
Well, I can say a lot in terms of the Zongo community. First and foremost, you know, majority of the Zongos are made up of Muslims. Take it or leave it. And so the Muslims, the most important festivities within the Muslim community are the 2 Eids, Eid al-Adha and then Eid al-Fitr. That is the end of Ramadan, and then the what we call Arafah, when we go for Hajj for the minor, we call it the lesser Hajj, and then pray, where do the slaughtering and what have you. If you take those 2 days, before the NDC, through Jerry John Rawlings came, you know, we were not having any holiday. It was pure. Time for you to go and pray. You either boycott work, your children, even at times examinations are set on that day that you are going to pray. So it was a very big problem for us. And so through us, we were able to institute the 2 days that became statutory public holidays. I don't want to go back.
How does instituting a holiday amount to making the life
of people recognition better? First. What are you telling me?
I'm asking
when you are talking about the life of a human being, are you taking the religious aspect out?
So that was something that meant. Something that meant a lot to the people. Apart from that, let's focus in terms of social. The provision of social amenities. It's because of time. I want to be able to engage you a bit more on especially on your manifesto. This is just a background.
Okay, the background is that we all know of the Islamic education units.
Yeah.
The Islamic education units are when the government institutionalized the Islamic institutions to make them part of, so that government can pay them from the central, COFEX, and then recognize them. We recollect that Arabic was even made as an examinable subject, where Arabic teachers were encouraged to learn so that we could get them, post them to the various secondary schools to become teachers. That was a way of creating employment, okay? And so all these things, we started it before we went off. And then that aside, the Hajj, you know that one of the most important things has to do with the Hajj.
Okay.
If you recollect, times were those days when Hajj, people will go, others will be left, they sleep, they do a whole lot of things. And the hell why was there? The NDC came and made sure. I was the director of operations, and I'm proud to say that through my initiative and that of JDM, we were able to acquire the present place where we now have the Hajj village, where I supervise the construction of the village, where Muslims can now go decently. You recollect very well that there was a time when Muslims going to work, you couldn't even, tie, cover your hair, okay? There are some schools in Ghana. I can cite an example.
So one thing, I want us to really focus this discussion, Alhaji. I don't want us to focus on Muslims now, because
I'm talking of the Zongo.
I'm feeling the danger of us getting into a Muslim conversation. We're talking about the Zongo communities and life, how it is lived there. And I want us to focus the conversation on that. Let me just quickly announce that we have Country Director of Send Ghana, George Osei Bimpe, who is joining us via Zoom. Mr. Bimpe, thank you very much for coming through. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm going to, my next question that I'm going to put to you, Alhaji, I want us to move on from what you did, is to tell us what you think are the critical issues from in the Zongo communities. I have my own list here, and I want to hear yours. I'll hear from Mr. Bimpe, and then we'll focus the discussion.
First and foremost, I think in Ghana, unemployment has been a problem across all board. But it is worse within the Zongo communities. Why is it worse? It's worse because of educational background. A lot of the Zongos, we lack educational institutions. Primary schools, from creche, through nursery, through primary, to secondary, we don't have. Okay? And so before we can even say, look, lift them up, they need education. Good. So you need to make sure that the Zongos will also bring in schools, institutions that can help them, not specifically say Islamic schools. No. When you come to Medina Zongo, you saw that there was only one school, UBH, okay? The school, I went to a class which was accommodating one classroom, 110 people, as against 50, 60. So quickly, we need to fight to make sure that we increase it, we establish more schools, we build it, and so I started it, okay? We couldn't finish, but at least...
So you've listed unemployment. Education.
Yes, education.
What else are the critical issues?
The critical issues aside of that is one of them has to do with the women lack of job. Okay, the women not having jobs within their place, lack of facilities within the Zongo communities. One has facilities. You know, it could include basic amenities,
health,
water, health facilities, all those.
Let me see how that syncs with St. Ghana. St. Ghana does a lot of these reports. They do a lot of research into, you know, how people within that category live. Mr. Bimpe, what list do you have yourself, and does it sync with this one?
Well, yes, very much so, except to add that housing is one.
Yes.
Yeah, housing is one of such problems. Sanitation is also one. Of course, youth unemployment. I think Honorable Sorogo has mentioned that. But the major, you see, these are what I call the symptoms of the problem. The underlying structural issues are inequality. How historically we have kind of created a situation where sections of the people, and I do not want us to limit the conversation to Zongos, because the NDC manifesto did not mention only Zongo. They said
Zongo and deprived communities.
Deprived urban settlement. Yes. What some people will call slums. And if you look at Accra alone, you are looking at places like Choko, Jamestown, Labadi, part of Labadi, even Nungwa, where there has been a complete urban decay, or a decay which requires some gentrification, sort of. And you realize that in these communities, many people do not go to school. Health facilities are a problem. Many of the people do not. For example, if you look at the coastal areas, traditional source of income or livelihood has been affected by many factors, and so without turning to the sea, they have nowhere else to go. As others would have had that situation. I mean, others would have had to resort to crop farming and so on and so forth. So I completely agree with the Honorable Sorogo when he mentioned those as the critical problems, but it should be situated within the context of structural problems that have caused inequality.
Very well.
Attention that we pay to certain people in this country.
I'm going to have him talk to us about the package that the NDC is presenting. What is this package, and how does this address these, inequality symptoms, as you put it, that we've identified? So, Alaji, let's go for it.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I think I mentioned education. So what do? The NDC intends to make sure that all the Zongos and the deprived areas, if they don't have good schools, they provide them with the good schools, okay? And then already there is a blueprint for 2 secondary schools which will be earmarked, one in the south and one in the north. Of course, we know that it should not only be limited to people from Zongo, because Zongo people also go to other schools, and so you cannot just do a school, but the proximity to the area where it becomes easier for access to those schools, okay? Then we talk about creating jobs, trying to help them.
So you have moved from education to unemployment now?
No, the education, if you want
let's finish with education, then we go to unemployment.
Okay, from educational level, we are also saying that there are so many countries, Islamic countries, that are prepared, okay, to help establish centers, recreations, factories, industries, establish a fund that can help the Muslim community, and that one they were limiting it to the Muslim community because it's from the Islamic countries. Of course, when you are within the Zongo, you are also entitled to access those funds. We are also going to make sure that the District Assembly's Common Fund, takes care of certain development projects within the Zongos. Of course, we know that the Zongo is situated in a district, it enjoys also. But it's just like my brother was saying, most of the time, when developments are coming, they are not cited within the Zongo areas.
So how specifically is this going to happen? The District Assembly Common Fund, are you looking at a particular percentage, and wouldn't you need any legal backing, any law to back this percentage allocation?
Already you know that the District Assembly Common Fund, the percentage was 7.5%. When the MPP came, they brought it down to 5%. Now we are saying that we are going to send it back to the 7.5%. That means that the quantum can go up. That aside, when you are sending money and you cap it, use this for this, use this for this. The assemblies end up getting something very small, which they cannot use.
So you want to increase the District Assembly Common Fund,
yes,
so that you can have an allocation for.
Definitely, so that they can have more money and make room for some of this funding that we are talking about. And then also the Islamic Fund, a lot of banks are ready to come and help, roll out some of these projects.
One of the things you list in your manifesto is to provide scholarships. In like 1 minute, if you can give me details of how you intend to do this and how to roll it out.
Well, this is also, a lot of the scholarships are also coming from the Islamic countries. They have a lot of scholarships they want to do. Normally they're into nursing, into medicine, okay? And when these things come, when they are just thrown overboard, everybody should apply. Most of the times, the Zongos don't get it, children from the Zongo. But if it is targeting that this scholarship is meant for this, apply. I think we can get a lot of our Zongo youth getting to those scholarships and also pursuing those courses.
Very well. Very well. We'll be crossing over to a Zongo community shortly, but dealing with education, which obviously dovetails into unemployment. Mr. Bimpe, I want to take your thoughts on what the NDC is presenting as far as education in these communities is concerned.
So I think that any policy intent or initiative that seeks to address inequality, especially if you want to use education, is very good. There are some problems that I do have. So allow me to talk about those ones before I come to that.
Okay, make it brief for me, please.
We should be careful as a country not to lend ourselves to too much tokenism.
Yeah.
For example, I do not see why the NDC would propose to pay malams who are teaching in Makarantas allowances.
Okay.
Allowances. I mean, that will create the impression that even people who are also teaching at catechism, like Sunday schools, will also one day be claiming for that. That would not, you see, that is religion. We're in a secular state. So the state must be careful in attempt to address.
Okay, hang on, Alaji, you have your say.
In attempt to address inequality, we don't mix them up. Otherwise, we lose focus on what we really need to do so that we can provide our brothers and sisters in the Zongo communities the opportunities for them to take their place. So, for example, I would say that they should rather encourage, they should concentrate on ensuring that there are standard educational facilities in the Zongo communities. That is very important. And so what they have said is very important. I mean, you are right.
What did you say that you want to give education that the people, appreciate, the sort of education that they can identify with, if that is how you can get them to
the Islamic education, because the Islamic education has been subsumed into the Ghana Education Service. So we assume that will ensure the balance. It's almost akin to the mission education that churches and those people provide. I am talking about the payment of allowances to malams or teachers in the Makaranta. The Makaranta is purely for religious reason. Let us shift that resource to supporting the Islamic education that also is in tune with the national education policy or agenda. That's the point I'm trying to make. So let's make that distinction. That's different from the Islamic one. And I think that the way they propose to go about establishing secondary schools, for me, it might not even be enough, because we have more than so many Zongos. So let us also look at how would you integrate the existing Zongos communities into the adjoining towns, so to provide opportunities for them to go there. It is also good for national development because then we mingle, we tend to know ourselves rather than creating silos. Much as it is an equity initiative, I think that let's commend them for that. But let's be careful how we go about the implementation.
Okay.
The other point about it is that you realize that the NDC manifesto is quite loud on Zongos, even though it says that Zongos and deprived communities. It is only when you get to the last 3 or so points that it seems to address the broader problem with urban gentrification or urban decay. So I would expect that kind of gesture that is being extended to the Zongo communities should be extended to places like the Jamestown, the Choco, so that because the problem there is almost the same as the problem we have in the communities.
Okay.
And so once you say you want to address that, you do it holistically. So don't say Zongo, 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 something that cuts across all the clusters that you can easily identify to have suffered inequalities for such a long time.
Okay, so Alhaji, you wanted to make a quick point. We need to cross over to Medina. We're going to Medina Libya quarters, which is an area I'm very familiar with. But Alhaji, you wanted to make a quick intervention
yes,
in what he said.
I just wanted to say, you see, he should have been requesting to know the source of funding. Nobody said that Makarantas were going to be paid from government source. Nobody says salaries, allowances. And I have told you on numerous accounts that...
Well, what you have it here, what is the plan?
The plan is that there are so many Islamic countries that are NGOs that want to support.
So you create some sort of funding?
Fund. Soyaya Fund. We have already mentioned it. Yes, when we create a fund called Soyaya, that is for door fund. Okay?
So that they will be paying teachers who teach. But the point he's making is that you want to teach not just them.
And then he was also saying that it is only religious. No, when we are talking of creating employment.
He's talking about Makaranta.
Yeah, he says the Makaranta are only religious.
Well, educate as if it's not. What is it?
It is to educate. Of course, the religious aspect is there. It keeps the child, it broadens the child's horizon.
Majority religious.
Are we not employing the teachers and paying them?
Hang on. So those are different issues. So if you talk about creating employment, that's different from saying that the education you give there is religious. That's what I just want to establish because you're here. You're an Alhaji. Is it religious or not? It is.
It is religious and secular. It is the same thing. You teach them Arabic. It is not only the language. Okay, when you teach the female girl how to dress and how to keep herself well, how to behave towards...
According to the religion.
No.
According to the religion.
No, but what are you telling me?
Okay, Alhaji, let's get to the ground. Manuel Kranting has been interacting with some people there. Manuel, tell us, what are they telling you?
So, Gifty, I'm here at Medina Libya quarters. I'm on one of the parks, where the youth here train and play football and so on and so forth. In fact, in my earlier interaction with some of the residents in the community, they tell me that, they have teething challenges, key of which would include the fact that all the street lights here do not work. There are certain homes here which do not have, toilet facilities and so on and so forth. But just to my right here, and I think that the cameraman can just pan for you to see, is the Medina AstroTurf, which was, commissioned by His Excellency the President about a year ago. It's here, and they give them access to, play there. But I've been able to catch up with a few of the youth here, and I'm going to speak to them, briefly about what their own experiences in the community are, and then again, what they would be expecting from a would-be government, essentially. So I'm grateful, guys, that you're joining me. I'm apologizing that I have to cut your training this afternoon. But, I mean, it's been 4 years of having a Zongo ministry and having a Zongo development fund and so on. They've tried to put up an AstroTurf here for you. Tell me, as a youth growing up in the community and so on and so forth, how do you feel with the level of development here?
Yeah, I'll rate it like, let me say 7 to 10, 7 over 10. And what he told us,
louder.
Yeah, like the AstroTurf.
Louder.
They said it would be commissioned, like, I don't really know the date. Yeah, but like, it's not officially opened. Okay. That's what I know about.
But His Excellency the President came here. Remember that he came here, he played on the pitch and so on.
I wasn't there. I wasn't there.
You were not here. You were not here.
Yeah.
Great. I'll try to speak to a few more people, and I'll come to you because you are one of the senior folks who live in the community. Just get a bit closer to me so I can speak to you. Train on the park, don't you?
Yeah, I train on the park.
Great. Beside the park, really, what are some of the things that you, as a guy who's growing up in a community, what are some of the things that you experience?
To me, no, we need support. Serious, we need support. It's not like
a bit louder. Eh?
It's not like going to the park and playing low and go back to home. Now we need support. We need a lot of managers, a lot of develop for the area. As we can see around, we have a lot of players over here, but we don't have support. That's why we just need support.
When you say you need support, what do you mean? I can see the AstroTurf is there, and you've confirmed that you work on. You play on it. So that's not enough support.
Yo, that's not enough support. Serious, that's not enough support.
When you say support, what are you looking out for?
We have a lot of players. They play good. We need the government to just support us. To just support us. Yes.
Great. So he's telling me that he needs a government, in fact himself and his colleagues, they need a government to, help them hone their talent. If it is what you're looking at, an academy in the Zongo community.
Yes, of course. So we also beg the government so that they can build a lot of AstroTurf park over here so that we will stop playing on this ground, because a lot of football players are getting injury on this ground. That's why we just.
But how accessible really is it? Because I'm seeing you train on the red park. You have an answer to that. How accessible is it?
You don't really get access to it. Yeah, you don't really get access to it because like we give it to some specific people to train on it, but like we the youth, we don't get access to it. Yeah.
Great. You live here too. Tell me, I see street lights all around here. They are supposed to be functioning, are they?
Some do function, but not all. Yeah.
I cannot hear you.
Some do function, but not all.
They do function, but what do the authorities tell you?
They tell us they'll come and fix it, but we don't see anything.
They tell you that they'll come and fix it, but you don't see anything. Great. So he's telling me that the street lights in the community do not function. Some of them, even though they function, some of them don't function. And the authorities say that they will fix them, even though they have not fixed them. My boss, you're here. You were telling me earlier about what happens here when it rains. Just recap for me.
For me, so many times when it rains here, I think the road is the main problem here. Because sometimes when it rains, a little bit of flood is on the road, so I think the major challenge is the road. For me, when it rains, the major challenge is the road.
So in the community, the roads are not, tarred and so on?
Yeah, no, the roads are not tarred. Because I think 2 days ago, it was graded, so that's what they've been doing so many years ago. Wow. Yeah, they've been grading it, but as for the tar, they don't do it.
So they just come and level up the road. They don't do any extensive work on it.
No. They just grade it and leave it there.
So you want the roads to be fixed?
Yeah, the road is the major problem here. If they can do the road for it, I think we'll be very grateful.
Great. My boss, tell me about a bit of sanitation in the community. In fact, a lot of people have critiqued Zongo communities have been, dirty and so on and so forth. What is the state of sanitation in here?
Yeah, actually, for here, though the name is there as Zongo, but when you come to Madina here, there's nothing about maybe dirt or something. Over here, it is very clean. We don't have problem about that.
You don't have a problem. So all the houses here have toilet facilities and so on?
Yo, for that, I can't say per se, but most of the houses have toilet facilities.
Well, the NDC has mentioned, and this is to all of you, that the NDC has mentioned that if it wins power in 2020, it's going to give free access for the youth in the Zongo communities to TVET education. That's going to be free for all of you. When as a Zongo, resident and so on, my friend here was just telling us that he needs government to support. When you hear such a promise, how does it make you feel?
Oh no, we just hope for the best that they should do that. But he was saying about support. It is true, because when this park wasn't constructed, you could see a lot of teams, different teams training at different side of the park. But since this park was being constructed, we don't have enough time. Maybe we will come here to train maybe about 31 hours or so. before we realize the seniors will also come, we have to vacate the park for them. Have you seen? Yeah, so that is what it means about the support issue. Yeah.
You want to say something? Huh?
To what he's saying, is leading some of our age mates to social vices, smoking, browsing, and other things. So we need more. We need more of that.
Because you don't have support, people are smoking and they're browsing. What do they do when they browse?
They get money, but since they stop playing, we don't get much access with the young ones. We don't get much access to the park. It's given to some specific people. That's why they stop playing. They stop wasting that.
Great. I want to ask, my friend is just joining us. I want to ask, do you feel, in fact, the NPP in a run-up to the 2016 election said that it was going to embark on massive developmental projects in the Zungu communities. A reason they dedicated an entire ministry to do the work in the Zungu communities. Do you feel that development?
Yes, I can say that I have feel it, because looking at what they did here, it will help us in a long way, because we shouldn't just look at it like a short period, but looking at it in a long time, it will help us. Because in the Zungu community, we have talented people here who want to play football, and every day they have been coming here to do training. Just that sometimes they don't get access to the park, and that's a problem.
Do you think, and this is a question that I'm going to send to all of you, I want all of you to answer this for me. It may be a line or two. Do you feel that you've been taken for granted? Because every government that comes through, you know, is loud on promising Zungu communities, we want to do this, we want to do that. Do you feel that you've been taken for granted? In just a sentence or two, tell me if you feel that.
Yeah, I would say yeah, for that one, yeah. Because most of the time when it's during election, before you see them coming into saying that they are going to support us, after the election, you won't see anything about that again. Yeah.
Well, he makes a point that after elections you don't see them again, and jokingly, my friends say that after election there's no campaign. Do you feel taken for granted?
Yeah, for sure. Because every 4 years, I know election is being done every 4 years, because when it's due to these election times, they come here, say a lot of things, giving us promises, but we don't see anything. So I think they've been taking us for granted, for sure.
They've been taking it. So that's 2 out of the 6 people telling me that they've been taken for granted. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I feel the same. They take us for granted. They don't do the things they say they will do, like in the 4 years, getting to the election.
But they've done AstroTurf. They said they'll do it. They've done it.
Yeah, but the rules.
Okay.
They've not done the rules. They've not tiled the rules. They always level it, but they've not tiled it. So, like, I feel we are taking it for granted.
Okay, great. I'm rounding up with you both.
For me, I don't see any disappointment, because they are working. We can see they are working. They are still working. So we hope they improve.
You think it's a work in progress?
They are still working.
Great. My boss, do you feel taken for granted?
No, please. Because every government will do his part. Because looking at, you see, every government with his time. So when your time comes and you are going, by all means, you will not do all the problems, but you will do some of them to help the Zungus. So I think we are on process.
You're on process?
Yes.
Great. Finally, you.
As my brother is telling that every government come, he will do his part before he go. When the government come, he do his part. The other government who will come, he have to continue. You don't have to leave it down and forget it. Now you have to continue. That's the whole.
So you don't feel taken for granted. So that's a 4 against 2. 4 of them feel that they've been taken for granted. 2 of them feel that it's a work in progress. And so this is a conversation that we've been having, Gifty, here at the Medina Libya quarters. I've been talking to a few of the residents in the Zungu community, giving me getting first-hand responses from them about the experiences in the community relative to the promises that politicians make to them ahead of elections. From here at Libya quarters in Medina, over to you, Gifty.
And certainly Manuel will also be going into the community, itself, not just stay on the park, but get into the community. But he wraps up for us what the issues are. They have issues with sanitation, and those are issues we're very well familiar with. Well, he spoke to young people. Yeah. He spoke to young people who are talking about football. What concerns them. Yeah, but that is what concerns them, and you should be concerned about them if you should be concerned about what concerns them.
Sure.
Because if they want to be footballers, they are looking for opportunities to develop the talent. So you can't rubbish that.
No,
but they talk also about sanitation, which is one of the key things that I want us to bear into. They don't have a
problem with sanitation.
They know. Some of them said it. He said some communities. So the question Manuel put to him was, do people have toilets, for example, in their homes? Because we know that it's a problem in some of these communities. Now I lived in Latebia Okoshi-Zongo, I must tell you. I've lived in Madina, not in Madina Zongo, but I know Madina Zongo very well. So hang on. The issue is, do people have access to these basic amenities that give people, I mean, these are very basic. Toilets, water, have a hospital in the neighborhood. These are very basic things that are required. Let's talk about, you've spoken about education. I want us to focus on the basic amenities that face into sanitation.
Basic amenities, the first one is water. The first basic amenities is water, is to get water, shelter, water, housing, okay? These are all basic education, facilities. Then that aside, we also know very well that you are saying if you eat, definitely you need a place of convenience, okay?
What's the plan? What's the plan? What's the NDC plan?
No, the plan is to construct more. Okay, the plan is to construct more.
Like mass. Not
like mass. There are different tiers. We help the community during my time. Those house landlords who were ready, we assisted them with cement. We even sent people to help them because of congestion, you don't even have a place. So you need engineers who will come and help you. And so we did so many of that within those areas.
Going into December 7, what are you saying you would do from the manifesto that will change the situation?
No, for
and
now,
why, and for which reason they should vote for you?
For now, I think that they've seen what we have done. When we were there, we've been able to do all those roads that they were talking about.
I'm talking sanitation.
Yeah, I'm coming. But of course, you are saying that what will make them, think that they want to vote for us. So I should not limit it. You are only relating to sanitation.
What are you presenting to deal with these problems?
Yeah, definitely. We are telling them that, yes, during NDC's time, they know how we took sanitation seriously. Go to the Medina market now. You are talking. You will see heap and heap and heap. Okay, because they said there was no money to collect the garbage. The market women were complaining. During our time, it wasn't like that. Okay, so we are saying that, look, when we come back, we are going to lay more emphasis on this. We are going to continue with the toilets. When you go to Zongo, the few toilets there, they were constructed during my tenure of office. Okay, when you go to the school, the Islamic school, I constructed one for the students, and it is still there. That is serving the students. We are going to encourage them and help those households, landlords who are ready. But I can assure you that there is nobody in Zongo, nobody intending to build a new house without toilet facilities. Okay. They've all taken it on board, and all new buildings that are coming have toilet facilities. So that should not be the yardstick for measuring, developments in Zongo. Okay. Toilets are very important. But
okay, I want you to comment briefly on unemployment and how you want to deal with it.
I think I spoke about unemployment. First, we have the apprenticeship program that we have introduced, that we want the youth, to engage in, where you will be trained whatever trade that you want. After that, you are given the startup so that you can go, and if it's a small capital, we establish it for you. And then we are also opening up for the vocational, the TVET. A lot of the guys, they are jobs, but they lack those basic training. We have one of the biggest in Medina, the Medina Vocational Training Institute. And so we are going to do it now. It's going to be free. Formerly, you have to pay. And so that was also something that was stopping a lot of the youth from going in to acquire a trade. Yeah. Now we are saying that when we come, TVET is going to be free. Come in, after you are trained, we will also give you a startup to start your business. And so these are all together with the scholarships that we are going to give to the Zongo youth and the deprived communities. Definitely, we are going to change. And remember, we have a big push. The big push, $10 billion, which is going to be used for infrastructure. Nobody will say.
How much of that amount is allocated to the Zongo or the inner cities?
No. We can't sit here and say this amount is.
So there isn't a specific allocation.
No, we haven't sat down to say we are allocating specific to this, that. But we are saying that is a big push, which is going to be based on needs. And we know that the Zongos may need more, the Zongos and the deprived communities. So we can't sit here and apportion when we are not there. We are saying that at least based on what we have done before, our history, where we promise and then we fulfill the promise. They all know. Zongo, they know what they can do.
We'll see. But because when people ask these questions, they want to see specificity. When you are specific that you will do this with this amount, they know that you will do that. I'll wrap up with you, Alhaji, when I come back with how you're going to get the money to fund these projects. But Mr. Pimpe, I want to take your thoughts on what we have discussed so far. So, and what the NDC says it is looking to do with, the basic amenity provision in terms of sanitation, starting from sanitation and then employment as well. You saw those gentlemen that Manuel spoke to. These are people who want to play football. So they are looking for opportunities to play football. Do you get the sense that it is very, very well captured? I mean, these different sets of skills that are available are very well captured in this manifesto.
Yeah, I think to a great extent, and I think that let us give some credit to the NDC. Apparently, they took the lessons with their defeat. They also took the consultation process serious, and so what we see is that you see a manifesto that generally reflects a lot of concerns from the grassroots. But like you said, the devil is in the detail. How is it going to be financed is something that we will continue to interrogate going forward. And I completely agree with the young men. You see, we are wasting a lot of talent. And if we cast our minds back, you realize that people from the Zongo communities have made a lot of contribution to even development of football in this country. Are we having many of them now in the various national teams? It seems to me that the number keeps going down. Apparently, we are missing out as a country in terms of tapping that pool of talent. Right. And so it will be good. And NDC, they are saying that they would make sports a commercial activity rather than entertainment.
But they're not really looking at the Zongo, are they?
But MFA, one thing that I want to say is that whoever forms the next government should be very careful about apprenticeship program or creating jobs that are not sustainable. You see, it is good that the NDC is saying they would support an apprenticeship program. I would say that must go with a kind of job analysis to determine the kind of jobs that we're supposed to have in this country. Oftentimes, when people talk about apprenticeship, the immediate culprits are mechanics, mechanic or what we call fitting, hairdressing, and then tailoring or whatever. So very limited cohort of apprenticeship that we do. I would say, and I challenge them to do a kind of serious job analysis to identify many things that people can do with their hands
in the community,
with the dexterity that it requires, so that we anchor a future apprenticeship program on those things. So then many of the things that we continue to import, many of these small things we import from China are done through artisanship. How can we do a kind of analysis that will create jobs that will be sustainable? Yes. It's not just taking somebody to go and learn hairdressing and the market becomes so saturated. So they will require to do, there will be the need for them to do a lot of thinking around how they will do
apprenticeship
it.
program.
It ends up creating sustainable jobs that doesn't create market saturation. So that is one. The issue of sanitation, you and I know that is very important. But you see,
wrap it up on that one for me.
Yes, it should go hand in hand with addressing the housing configuration in the Zongos, the way the houses are built. Can we begin to look at a kind of initiative that will result in, utilizing the land in the Zongos vertically, such that we can get private people to even own the land, build, operate, and transfer, have a place for the current owners to stay somewhere. But at the same time, it makes room for enough people to be accommodated, rather than to do the kind of horizontal building that we have. And in that case, you will have the space to address the drainage challenges. Those things are coming out clearly. But I think that maybe going forward, Honorable Sorogo can throw more light on that for us to get a better understanding so that it doesn't become business as usual when we want to address inequality. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bimpe, for this conversation. Although you're going off, I hope that you listen because I'll talk to him, wrap up with him on the funding, which is very important. But Mr. Bimpe, thank you so much. Mr. Bimpe is a country director for Send Ghana. They've been doing a lot of these analysis. So, Alhaji, let's wrap it up. Where is the money coming from?
Yeah, I've told you, we are going to establish a fund. There are two sources. You remember I told you that the District Assembly's Common Fund definitely is there to develop the district. The Zongos are located within the district or the metropolitan or the municipal. So if we are talking of deprived people, disabled people, there's a certain percentage that goes there. What stops us from saying that as a result of what we have identified as a country, that there are inequalities, let us also see what we can do to develop. That is what we are saying.
How else will you make money?
The second one is the Soyaya Fund, which I've told you, that we are going to source it from outside. A lot of the Islamic countries are having money and they want to assist because they also think that when you say Zongo, even though it's not only made up of Muslims, when you say Zongo,
predominantly Muslim.
Predominantly Muslim. So they also think that
so they are getting the money from
exactly
there as well.
They also want to help.
And so these two sources of funding is what you're aiming at.
There may be so many other sources.
Maybe, or we are looking at identifying.
What we have identified now is what I'm telling you.
The two. Okay.
You know.
Okay, so let's leave it there. Regarding the $10 billion big push, where is that money coming from?
No, the $10 billion big push. I mean,
that's not for the Zongo, of course.
No,
but it's a general thing.
Apart from cutting down and making sure that we have oil, we have oil money, we have so many other monies that are coming. Apart from cutting expenditure, reducing ministers by about 40, reducing presidential staffers by about 600 or 500, okay? Making sure that you cut your coat according to what somebody said, according to your cloth and not your size, okay? There are so many things that we can reduce to take, and then we can also go borrowing. You see, nobody will say that don't borrow. It's never said, even America, yesterday I was listening to them, it is terrible, they are borrowing. But borrow to do development, infrastructure, that can stand the test of time. And you know where we are going to use that money for. It's listed, so many of them. Completion of roads, establishment of schools, to make sure that the schools are complete. We have to make sure we abolish the double track system where our school children are suffering. There are so many. Make sure that we stabilize the economy. And so this is something that is going to be used to develop the nation, just like we did with the tribal gas, the Eastern Corridor roads, the Western Corridor roads.
I want you to speak to those in the Zongo and the underprivileged or the deprived communities who are watching you right now. I'm giving you, this is a very sweet, nice, free opportunity to campaign. Why should they bring back a party they voted out?
Well, I think they've all seen, they didn't know. Let me take off my mask so that I can speak well. Okay, we all agree. Me, I'm using myself as an example. Alhaji Sorogo, we know what you have done for Medina. Through you, we have a district, a municipal assembly, we have water, we have so many schools. You even got us the E-block. But Alhaji, they said they are coming to give us $1 million every year, dollars. So Alhaji, in 4 years, we're going to get $4 million. They said they are going to give us a factory. I'm telling you my typical experience, why I was voted out. Alhaji, so even though we know you've done very well, look at what these people are saying. Can't you just listen to them? Alhaji, let's give them a try. Now, they've given them the try. And we all come to the conclusion that it is a total lies just to make sure that they are voted into to come and create the amount that we have left, the few amenities that are left amongst a small family. I wouldn't
wrap up for me, Alhaji. I've run out of time.
So all what I'm saying is that they've seen it. As somebody says, you know, finally, and so please, everybody, especially the youth, your future is in your hands. We will not come and sit here and everything mortgage to the point that even the royal, the gold that we have, which can help you people, they are taking it off.
Okay, so for that reason, people should vote for you.
Yeah, the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, the young man who cares about the people, and Professor Jane Nana Opoku, who knows what education means, who would help and make sure that the big push goes in.
Alhaji Amadou Sorogo is former member of parliament for the Madina constituency. My special guest today, we're talking about developing the Zongo communities and other deprived communities as well. Well, we keep breaking down, like I said, and later this evening, Evans Mensah will be here again with the chairman of the manifesto committee. They'll be talking a bit more about that one.
So you have to talk. There are two manifestos.
Okay, so they'll be talking about that this evening on PM Express. You want to take the time and listen to that one as well. Now, a few weeks ago, Mami Afua was at the crossroads. She and her two sons were awaiting the worst as COVID-19 restrictions collapsed her day job at construction site, sleeping on an empty stomach with her two sons in an uncompleted building. Today, we're happy to share with you that some kind-hearted individuals reached out to Mami Afua and her sons, changing their narrative. JoyNews' Annabella Ohinijan has more in this report.
A beautiful, wide, sunny smile. Mami Afua can now afford to smile because life finally grinned at her. She's currently busy bidding flip-flops for sale.
By the grace of God, I have received help. I did not expect this kind of love from Ghanaians.
Some weeks back, she drowned herself in sorrow and tears because she could not afford to take care of her two children as a widow. COVID-19 restrictions also collapsed her day job at a construction site, further deepening her woes. Poverty made it difficult for them to afford 3 meals and unable to rent. They sleep in an uncompleted building. Today, change has come. Her story, told on JoyNews, touched many who extended a helping hand.
Sometimes,
by the grace of God, I have received help. I did not expect this kind of love from Ghanaians. I am human. Sometimes you need someone to talk to or comfort you. And through JoyNews, I have come to know that I also have loved ones. Sometimes, some go further to check on me and my kids.
Mami Afua has started a flip-flop business from over 25,000 Ghana cedis received from donors.
Na Ghana for Mboya Omodobuam will be taking story be. Na Ghana for.
Now I have begun a trade in beading, and it's from the donations I received.
Na minimwenus minimiye. It's make a fine. Na my start to send me when
I finally leave this uncompleted building, I will venture into pastry making.
Me 2 years funeral, meat pie. Na me born person ye we pay na me. Ya me bio kwana. Na me fi ha. Me ya no so me da ka.
Theophilus Akuto is Mami Afua's first son, a final year junior high school student readying himself for this year's BCE. Due to the family's poverty situation, Theophilus slept hungry most and struggled to excel despite the family's condition. He kept his legs in a bucket of water to stay awake and also distract himself from hunger. But today, Theophilus does not have to do all that.
I can see that everything is going on well for us and I get more food to eat. That's why. So I don't put my leg in water again. But just at a drink of water, I can't take it.
So how does it feel now?
It feels good.
Thanks to all kind-hearted individuals that put a smile on her face. Annabella Ohinijan's reports for JoyNews.
And certainly bringing smiles to the faces of those people is amazing. We have more smile stories to tell you. I was rejected and others thought I would have eaten grass. By His grace and your support, I'm now going to live a dignified life. These were the words of 82-year-old Daripogo, who had all 10 fingers and toes except the big ones chopped off as a result of leprosy, when Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia handed over a 2-bedroom house to her. Daripogo contracted the disease during her childhood and had all her relatives, including her children, abandon her. She was living under squalid and inhumane conditions, until a hotline documentary by Seth Kwame Boateng changed her life. JoyNews' Upper West correspondent Rafik Salam reports from Motori.
She has not entered any competition and won an award. Neither has she won any lottery. It is the price of good and impactful journalism. JoyNews Seth Kwame Boateng in a hotline documentary titled "Warrior Skins" highlighted the squalid and dehumanizing conditions she has been living under at an outlandish Motori community. Darapoko contracted leprosy at an early age and as a result had all 10 fingers and toes except the big ones chopped off. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was touched when he watched the documentary and directed Upper West Regional Minister Dr. Hafiz bin Sali to donate some food items and 2,000 Ghana cedis for her upkeep, and secondly, construct a modest house for her. Construction of the 2-bedroom house, hall, and other ancillary facilities took off immediately after the donation, and within 7 weeks, the house was ready for the octogenarian to live her once loved, jaded, death-trap mud-built structure that will not even pass for pen for animals in peri-urban areas. Vice President Dr. Bawumia defied the rain and rolled into the Motori community, walking in a muddy, slippery tiny farm road to hand over the house to Darapoko.
And just to see the smile on her face with her grandchild Ajara, who is here, really brings so much pleasure to my heart, and I'm sure she's also very, very happy. And I think this is how we should, live as, people here in Ghana and in the world. We should take care of the very poor and the vulnerable. In her state, she is not able to work and all of that. But we should also know that cured lepers are not people that should be ostracized, and they are not people that should be abandoned. Cured lepers cannot pass on the leprosy to you. Once they are cured, they are cured.
Darapo was grateful to the Vice President for the kind gesture.
She's the one that has been rejected and thinking that others were thinking that she would have eaten grass. But today she has also seen that she has gotten a very nice place to put her head. So she and her entire family are for Kukurudu and not for any other.
A debate was later held in honor of the Vice President, where the community members tabled the challenges they are facing. Few months ago, Darapo was scorned and ostracized and will not even be allowed to be part of any decision regarding the development of the community. Today, she is in the middle and the heart that their development revolves. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam, Motori.
So let's do our usual crossover to Germany. This week we're looking at the Russian opposition politician Alexei Navalny, who is out of a medically induced coma in Germany, where he is receiving treatment after he was poisoned elsewhere. He has been an advocate of anti-corruption reforms in Russia and a fierce critic of Russian President Vladimir Putin's government. But his poisoning is threatening to spark a diplomatic row between Russia and Germany, which has a history of collaboration. Emmanuel Chase is correspondent with our partners DW. She joins me from Germany with more. Emmanuel, let's start with the latest on the health condition of Mr. Navalny.
Well, Alexei Navalny was woken up from the medically induced coma he has been in since his poisoning, and he's been also weaned off mechanical ventilations and does react positively to verbal stimuli. So his condition definitely improves, but also doctors here at the Charité Hospital in Berlin say that it was way too early to know whether or not the recovery will be full or whether or not there will be long-term consequences of this poisoning on his health.
Let's talk about the German government and what it has said. It has actually called for investigations. Tell us more about what other reactions are coming from German authorities towards Russia.
Well, first off, Russia said that Germany was bluffing with its allegations of poisoning, and they said that Germany wasn't sharing the evidence mentioned by the German Foreign Office, and that they weren't sharing the results of the test carried on Alexei Navalny. And the German ambassador to Russia was summoned to attend talks, and likewise here in Germany, German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas has summoned the Russian ambassador in light of the evidence of Navalny's poisoning. So Germany has very fairly been demanding answers from Russia, and also the Chancellor Angela Merkel has used very strong, very firm words to depict Navalny's poisoning. She said it was an attempted murder and that it was a crime against our values, in her own words. She said it was a crime against the values of Germany.
Talking about Germany, the country and Russia have stakes in the Nord Stream project, which for those who are not aware is a system of offshore natural gas pipeline that flows from Russia to Germany. Where does this development leave the Nord Stream project?
Well, this is one of the bones of contention between Germany and Russia. This is a gas pipeline project called Nord Stream 2, which is supposed to see Russian gas being brought to Germany through a pipeline in the Baltic Sea. But in fact, many were against that project from the get-go, and recently even US senators threatened Germany with sanctions should the project go ahead. But Angela Merkel's government had always pushed through with the project, and now that there are discussions on an EU level, on an international level on economic sanctions against Russia, well, even the German Chancellor, even Angela Merkel, is said to be ready to reconsider the future of the Nord Stream project.
And that will certainly be a very big move. But let's wrap up our conversation with the sort of reactions coming from people generally within Germany, within the EU at large on this matter.
Well, the European Union has demanded a transparent investigation by the Russian government. Also, NATO has said that Russia must disclose its Novichok program, and the G7 countries, which issued a very strong statement asking that Russia respects its commitments under the Chemical Weapons Convention, also weighed in. In fact, the use of a nerve agent such as Novichok is forbidden under international law, and the G7 also asked Russia to bring the perpetrators to justice. Also on Monday, the United Nations called for Russia to cooperate in an independent investigation into the poisoning of Alexei Navalny.
Looks like by next week, hopefully he'll feel better and there'll be a better development on this story. Emmanuel, thank you so much. Emmanuel Chase is with our partners DW, and she joined me all the way from Germany. This is still The Pulse with me, Gifty Ando-Apia. Before we go, one of our headline stories: the Ghana Police Service has dismissed 28 personnel for unprofessionalism. This follows complaints lodged by the public against such officers who were found culpable. A total of 181 cases of unprofessional conduct were recorded between January and August 2020. We have more of that story in our subsequent bulletins, especially on JoyNews Prime at 7 p.m. My name is Gifty Ando-Apia. There is more news at myjoyonline.com. I encourage you to log on and share the stories with your friends.